Today we're taking a look at our entire line of pro lens adapters for Sony E-mount cameras. Hey everyone, Sean here with Fotodiox.com. Now here at Fotodiox, we pretty much let you mount any lens you can imagine on any camera you can imagine. As long as it's physically possible, we make an adapter for it. And today I thought I'd show you a specific line that we offer. This is our Pro line of Sony E-mount lens adapters. These adapters are designed to mount different lens mount types on your Sony E-mount camera, and they come with a bunch of different amazing features. And let's just go through them now. This is our first adapter. This is the Fotodiox Pro Nikon G to NEX Pro adapter. And this version is actually declicked. As you can see here, we've got this lever. The square shape is signifying the clicked setting, but you can switch it right here to the smooth shape, and that will actually declick your Nikon lens's aperture. So let's put a lens on here real quick. Line up the white dot on the red dot, and then mount it on our Sony a7R II. There you go. Now you have a Nikon lens mounted to a Sony E-mount camera. Now we do make a consumer version of this, but it doesn't have the declicked aperture. And you might wonder, why would you need declicked aperture? Well, most Nikon photo lenses actually have a clicked aperture, which means when you're manually adjusting, you're going to see each click of the aperture as it changes. And that's no good for video. Let's say you're in a dark room and you're going out into a bright light. You're going to want to smoothly close your aperture so it's not very noticeable to the person watching the video. And you can do that with this adapter. It's pretty amazing. Our next adapter is our Polar Throttle Adapter. This is a very, very useful adapter because not only does it adapt a lens to your Sony E-mount camera, it also has a built-in circular polarizer. You just turn this ring and it actually adjusts the CPL filter built directly into the adapter. And a CPL filter is key for specific shooting situations. Say you're shooting reflective water, or you're shooting through some reflective glass, and you want to remove that reflection and see underneath, or you just want to get rid of some of the glare. Well, with just a little turn of the CPL filter, you can do that. Now, why would we have it built into the adapter, you might ask? Well, let's say you're adapting multiple lenses. Rather than getting multiple CPL filters for each lens, or using step-up filters to fit a larger one onto smaller lenses, you've got it built right into the adapter. So pretty much any lens that you're going to adapt to your Sony E-mount camera of this type, you'll have this built-in CPL control. This is the Nikon G to Sony E-mount version of the Polar Throttle, but we offer these mount versions as well. Our next adapter is the ND Throttle. It's like the Polar Throttle, but instead of a CPL filter built in the middle, it is a variable ND filter. This is a 2 to 8 stops filter, and what it allows you to do is cut light entering your lens before it hits your sensor, which means you can shoot wide open in bright sunlight and just use this filter to reduce the amount of light coming through. They do make these filters for the fronts of lenses, but like I said, with the Polar Throttle, it's nice to have it built behind the lens. It reduces the amount of dust you get on your filter. And again, like I said, you can put various lenses on the front of this and you don't have to worry about getting different filters for different lenses. This is the Canon FD version of the adapter, and it's really simple to mount. You just line up the red dots. Make sure you have the arrow pointing to install, and then depending on which version of an FD lens you're mounting, you're either going to turn the breech lock on the FD lens to lock it into place, or with this one, you're going to actually turn the lens to lock it onto the adapter. This is one of my favorite adapters that we sell here at Fotodiox. I actually use this on almost all of my projects. I like to shoot with vintage primes like this Canon FD 50mm f1.8, and I have shot whole films with the ND throttle mounted behind my lens, because not only does it allow me to use these old beautiful vintage lenses on my Sony E-mount camera, it also gives me that extra aperture control. So I can shoot shallow depth of field video in bright sunlight to get that beautiful cinematic look. And I could also use it to shoot long exposure photography. So this is a very useful adapter, one of my favorites. Now, if you want to mount a Canon EF lens to your Sony E-mount camera, and you want that variable ND control, but you also need the electronic control to adjust the aperture and focus, then you're going to want this adapter. This is an ND throttle fusion. It has all the control of our manual ND throttle adapters, but it also has communication pins that allow you to use your Sony E-mount camera to electronically control a Canon lens. Let's try one out now. This is a Canon EF50. To line up the red dots, mount the lens to the adapter, and then put it on our Sony A7R II. So there we go. Now we have the Canon lens mounted on our Sony camera. We can control the built-in variable ND filter to cut the light entering the lens, but we also have full electronic control of the Canon lens, and we can also power built-in image stabilization if your Canon EF lens has it. So this is a very useful adapter if you mount Canon EF lenses to your Sony E-mount camera. If you shoot video, I highly recommend this adapter. Okay, our next adapter is pretty exciting because it packs a ton of functionality into a tiny package. This is our DLX Stretch Adapter. It actually has 3 functions. Number 1, it operates as a lens adapter. This is our Canon FD to Sony E-mount version. We have a bunch of other options as well. Number 2, it has a back focus control. With the simple twist of this ring, you can actually make your adapted lens focus closer than it's designed to. So this is great for shooting macro video and photography. And it's also just great if you have an adapted lens that doesn't have a very close focus. This gives you that extra focus functionality. The third function of the DLX Stretch is drop-in magnetic filters. It comes with 3 drop-in filters, an ND4, an ND8, and an ND16. And all you really have to do is drop them in, and they magnetically stick into the back. And this gives you that extra functionality of having an ND filter behind your lens, similar to the ND throttle. Obviously, you can't adjust it, but you basically pick out the strength you need, pop it into the back, and there you go. Now you've got this adapter that not only adapts the lens to your Sony E-mount camera, not only adjusts the back focus, it also has drop-in filters for shooting long exposures or shooting shallow depth of field in bright sunlight. Next up are our shift adapters. This is our Nikon to Sony shift adapter. Let's put a Nikon lens on it now. And what these adapters allow you to do is actually shift your adapted lens left and right or up and down. And this is essential if you're in architecture photography and you want to get rid of distortion in your image, or you want to correct the shape of your buildings. To shift the lens, you push this button down, and then you can pull it left or right. And then if you want to rotate the lens to be placed in a different position, you push down this tab, and then you can freely rotate the lens. So if you want to shift up rather than shift to the side, or if you want to shift down, you can do that. Like I said, this is an essential tool for architecture photographers. But let's say you just want to get creative. If your adapted lens has a big enough image circle, and generally speaking, those are going to be on longer lenses that you use, what you can do is put your camera on a tripod, shift your lens to the left, take a picture, and then shift your lens to the right and take a picture. And then you can take both of these pictures and merge them in Photoshop for a beautiful panorama. You get a higher resolution image using more of the image circle of your lens than you normally would. Okay, shifting adapters, pretty useful. But what if you also want to tilt? Well, therein lies our next adapter that we're going to talk about. This is our Tilt ROKR line. This line offers you to mount various lenses on your Sony E-mount camera and get not only shift functionality, but tilt functionality. This is our Mamiya 645 to Sony E-mount adapter. So we're actually going to mount our Mamiya 645 medium format lens on here. It's not just for medium format lenses. We support some full frame lenses as well. Here's a list of the lenses we support for Sony E-mount. Let's mount this adapter on the camera. And I can show you here, not only do you have the shift functionality, which shifts left and right, and the rotation functionality, which allows you to rotate the lens to different positions. You also have the tilt functionality, and how this works is you loosen this gold knob, and then you just slide the lens down. So now, as well as being able to shift, you can tilt the lens and adjust the focal field. What makes the Tilt ROKR so exciting is it allows you to turn pretty much any adapted lens into a tilt-shift lens. And tilt-shift lenses are not cheap, so this is a great alternative to buying a new tilt-shift lens. Now, if you'd like to learn more about how this adapter works and some of the things you can do with it, I would recommend clicking the link in the description below where I have a longer video where I kind of get into more details. Okay, these next adapters are the most popular adapters we offer, and for good reason. A lot of filmmakers and photographers who own the Sony E-mount system don't really want to invest in the Sony E-mount glass. It's expensive, and a lot of photographers and filmmakers already have Canon EF glass. So these two adapters are essential if that's what you're looking to do, to mount a Canon EF lens on your Sony E-mount camera. This is our Canon to Sony Fusion adapter, and this is our Canon to Sony Fusion Adapter Plus. The difference between these two adapters is the price, obviously. This is a more budget adapter. The Fusion Plus has a couple new features. It has a switch on the side, which allows you to adjust between contrast detect autofocus and phase detect autofocus. So depending on what Sony camera you have and what autofocus mode it has, you can use this switch to optimize your autofocus. And then it also has a micro USB port, so you can actually update the adapter's firmware. So when we come out with new firmware, you can plug in the cord, you can update it directly from your computer. So that's really the basic difference between our standard Canon to Sony Fusion adapter and our Fusion Plus. Let's put a lens on our Fusion Plus so you can kind of see how it works. It's pretty simple. You're just gonna take off the front cap, line up the red dot on the lens with the red dot on the adapter, mount it in place, and then put it on your camera. And this is the Sony a7R II, and it has phase detect autofocus, so we're going to switch to that now. With this adapter, you'll get full electronic control of the aperture of your lens. You're going to get full control of the autofocus, and it's also going to power built-in image stabilization if your Canon EF lens has it. So this is an incredibly useful adapter for both photographers and filmmakers who want to use their Canon glass on their Sony camera. But what if you don't have Canon EF lenses? What if you have Nikon AFI or AFS lenses? Well, this adapter is exactly what you're going to need. This is our Nikon to Sony E-mount Fusion adapter. It's similar to the Canon Fusion, but it allows you to electronically control aperture and autofocus in Nikon AFI and AFS lenses. Let's put a Nikon lens on now. Man, my desk is getting a little messy here with all these different adapters. Line up the white dot, mount it to the adapter, and then we're just going to mount it on our Sony a7R II. And this adapter is going to work especially well on Sony cameras with phase detection autofocus. If your Sony camera only has contrast detect AF, or if it has kind of a hybrid of contrast and phase, it's not going to work as well. It's going to hunt a lot more, the autofocus won't be as fast, but you'll still be able to electronically control the aperture of your Nikon lens, which is essential for a lot of these lenses because a lot of these lenses don't have a manual aperture control. Another really useful tool for photographers and filmmakers who want to adapt Nikon lenses to their Sony camera, and they want to maintain all of that electronic control. All right, we have one more adapter to look at, and this is probably one of the most interesting adapters that we offer here at Fotodiox. This is our Pronto autofocus adapter. And what this adapter allows you to do is autofocus Leica M lenses on your Sony E-mount camera. Let's mount an old Leica M lens on here. Line up the red dot. So how this adapter works is the adapter actually communicates with the camera, and as the camera's sensor analyzes the image coming through the adapted lens, it sends information to the motor drive that's built in, you'll see right here, that's built into the adapter. So as you press the shutter, the lens is going to autofocus. This is pretty amazing. This lens is like 50 years old, and with this adapter, I am able to autofocus it. The Pronto adapter currently works best on Sony cameras with phase detect autofocus. If your Sony camera only has contrast detect, it's not going to work very well. If you'd like to use the Pronto adapter to autofocus some of your vintage lenses, but you don't have a Leica M lens, we actually have a list right here that shows some of the other lenses you can use through double adapting. For instance, if you have an M42 lens and you want to use it on our Pronto, you would just get our M42 to Leica M adapter and then double adapt it onto the Pronto adapter. Put your M42 lens on the front of that adapter, and there you go. Now you have autofocus with that setup as well. Okay, That is a pretty exhaustive look at our entire line of pro lens adapters for Sony E-mount cameras. If you'd like to learn about any of the adapters featured in today's video, click the links in the description below. And if you're looking for a specific adapter I didn't mention in today's video, comment below, because odds are we probably carry it and I can help you find it. Also, click right here to subscribe to our YouTube channel to get more videos just like this one. I'm Sean with Fotodiox.com, and thanks for watching.